Hi, I'm Keith Richards, and here's a few of my famous last words.
Well, let's talk about the live album. I imagine this to be a real draining experience to go listen to like 50 takes of each song.
It is. It's a weird process. Live albums, which you don't make that many of them. I mean, making records generally in the studio, you're in control and you build it up as you go along, and you can alter things as you go along. With live records, it's strange. You're confronted with this enormous pile of pre-recorded material, you know, and trying to plow through it to say what out of this is going to make a good live album. And you always forget about live albums until you have to make them again. And this is endless process of elimination.
What do you try to accomplish with it? I mean, this is not the Stones' first live album, of course. Did you think that it's presenting the band in the way it is now? You're trying to capture the era or the moment?
I suppose that also because the band, you know, is still putting out new stuff, and we can add to the bulk of it. That's the other difficult thing about live albums, is that with a band that's been going this long, is that obviously a lot of the material is the same. So I mean, what do you call it now? The best versions yet, or you know, and so in a way, for us it was fascinating just to be able to hear everything instead of being presented with a badly recorded load of stuff and trying to pull something good out. We could actually present something worthwhile, you know, live-wise, just as a record, you know.
At the end of we know it's always hard to get this band together, but at the end of that tour, after a year
Don't tell me.
Sorry, didn't want to let you in on that. At the end of this year-long tour, were they still raring to go? I mean, were they?
Yeah, it's funny, because I've been asked it a couple of times, and I thought about it, and said, in actual fact, even though it was one of the longest concentrated periods that we've ever done on the road, and certainly the longest show we've ever done, I never knew them as energetic and as fresh at the end of the tour. And, you know, maybe knowing how to pace ourselves a bit, you know, in every way. But yeah, I mean, it wasn't as if everybody was exhausted or dropping dead and saying, thank God that's over. In fact, in a way, when I get to the end of a tour, I'm already sort of dreading that spectre of not working, because it takes a few weeks, actually a few months, when you wake up in the middle of the night going, where's the gig? You know, there's something inside that keeps you, it's road fever, they call it. And though you know it's coming, it doesn't stop it.
Yeah. Last time we actually talked to Charlie once for a moment at the beginning of the tour, and he was, you know, we said, how's it going, Charlie? And you're looking forward to this. He said, well, go out and do the show, and then tomorrow night we'll do it again and again and again. Is he just kidding, or? Yeah,
in a way, yes, he is. I mean, Charlie will say anything not to be asked a second question. He doesn't like to be grilled.
Charlie, why don't we hear more from you? You're famous for not giving interviews. But
yes.
Why is that?
Yes. Well, there's nothing to say, really, is there?
Was there any kind of music you listened to when you were a kid before rock and roll happened? Do you remember listening to How Much Is That Doggy in the Window or anything like that?
Oh, I remember hearing it. I remember, yeah, and I'm a pink toothbrush.
I think I missed that. How did that go?
Yeah, kind of like that, you know. And close the doors, they're coming in the way. Yeah. I mean, which is one of the reasons that rock and roll was so explosive and so immediately arresting when it came out, because there was an appalling dearth of material in the middle 50s that left, you know, if you didn't know where else to go and hear stuff, it was there, but I mean, what you would get to hear just by turning on the radio would be ouch, man.
So did you mostly hear like early R&B stuff and blues stuff on the radio, or was it records from people bringing them back from the States? Or?
I think Little Richard and Heartbreak Hotel were the first rock and roll records. I mean, bam, you know, suddenly the world went into Technicolor. 1 minute there wasn't anything like it, and then, you know, there was this record, and then suddenly the next week there was Little Richard, and then there was, you go, wow, cats over there are rocking, man. What are we doing sitting here? Nothing, you know. I mean, look what they're doing, you know. And so it was like a rock and roll race. You know?
Was there America everything you expected it to be when you showed up here on your first tour? Or
it was like, I think for the Stones at the time, we were kind of in shock. You know, I mean, this is like going, this is like a little kid going to Disneyland. You know, don't actually believe it. You know, wake up in a minute, you're going to be back in the goddamn flat. The landlord asking for the rent. And, you know, I mean, I think it took us a while. I mean, we adapted pretty quick because, I mean, day-to-day grind soon as rubs off the guilt, you know. But, no, it was endlessly fascinating for us, especially the first couple of years, like being able to go and check this out, check this out. I went here, I got these records, and I went to see so-and-so play last night, and all of that. It was an endless sort of... It was, like I say, like going to Disneyland. You know, you took this ride, I went and saw this. It was, you know, who's playing at James Brown's at the Apollo, right? You know, I mean, we were like little tourists.
Although the Stones have been based on blues and R&B, they always related to what was going on at the moment, you know, and in music or this, that, or the other thing. Is there anything going on at the moment that you would relate to as in terms of let's do some new material along these, or Mick might be doing this, I suppose?
Mick will do it more than I will, but you know, it's funny. I hear some new stuff. I mean, as I say, the Divine stuff, right? I mean, I'll listen to something because I know that somebody I know is playing on it. You know, so that's the way I hear it, rather than going to what's new this week. Yeah. I must hear that. I must hear that. It's selling a lot of records. You know, I can't get into it quite in that way. The Black Crowes fascinate me, obviously.
What do you make of their stuff?
It's it's not that I'm making anything of it. It's just eerily reminiscent. You know, I wish them luck. You know, I mean, it's as I say, it's always a funny thing to sort of almost see you going through these time warps when you watch that stuff and listen to it. You say, oh man, he's got me down.
Do you ever look back at the old Stone stuff and say, gee, I wonder what it would have been like if I hadn't been like flat on my back or something, or the other guys, if we hadn't been drinking or taking this or that?
Sometimes, yeah, but I mean, and then I think probably wouldn't have been as interesting.
In March, Leo Fender, who had some of the greatest guitars in the world, died. Did you ever get to meet him while he was alive?
I have a feeling I did.
Back in those days.
Yes, no, I did meet Leo once. But it's funny, I mean, the guys that made those things, which after all, without them, the world would be worse off, you know. I'm just sort of glad that I managed to give Leo an accolade. I think back at the Hall of Fame, I think, you know, or at least I've still got a memory. I knew the right guys to thank.
I'd like to say thank you to Leo Fender for making the goddamn things we got to play, right? You know, those guitars, man. That's, I mean, to me, being a guitar player, that's very important. I'd like to say thank you, Leo.
I wonder if looking back from the time you started playing till now, what do you think is the most important thing you've learned about playing guitar? I mean, is there something a musician really should know that you've...
Yeah, that you're never good enough. You know. To me, the guitar's a friend, you know. I mean, I might not look at the thing for a few days, no, but if there's like a spare moment, you know, you just sort of feel, hey, come on, baby. It's, you know, and it's, you know, you talk to each other. And really, to me, music's like that to me, basically. I mean, even if you can't play something, obviously listening to music is a very important thing to a lot of people, otherwise we wouldn't be there, right? Music has a special effect on people. The fact that we don't know quite what it is and why it should be so makes it even more interesting to me, you know. If I find out, I'll let you know.
I'll be waiting for that letter. I think what's interests a lot of people is the stuff that you leave out. I mean, your style is such that you can just put something in here and not have to just jam stuff in there.
You learn that as you go along. I mean, sometimes I still think, you know, I should have left that. You know, but yeah, to me, what is making a record? You know, what you have is like this thing is silence, and then what you're going to do is put some sound on top of this silence. It's like the same as if you're going to make a painting, right? You got an empty canvas, or you got you know, Michelangelo had a whitewashed ceiling, and you get the Sistine Chapel, you know, because you make some little marks on it. And the same with music, you've got silence, and you put some noise on it here and there, and as you go along doing it, you start to realize how to create the kind of effect that you want, you know, how to leave something out and drop something out to make something more important, and instead of just trying to sort of say, this is how I play, you know. I look upon it like that, kind of way. Not that every one thing I've made is a Sistine Chapel.
Do you remember coming up with any of these like classic riffs? I mean, do you remember where you were when Jumpin' Jack Flash kind of jumped into your head? Does it just come out of the blue?
Just straight out of the day, come out of the blue. I mean, Satisfaction, I was asleep. I woke up. I just dreamt it and put it on the tape and went to sleep again. And forgot all about it. And the only reason that it ever came about was because I noticed that the tape had run to the end, and I said, but I knew I put a fresh tape in there. This is what I woke up with. And so I run it back to the beginning, and there's three times, and I can't get no satisfaction. And then it's me snoring for 45 minutes. And I mean, that's how songs are, they're on slender little things. You know, if I hadn't have checked that tape out, I wouldn't have remembered it.
The Stones have held a lot of stuff back over the years, I think. And is it true that there are 5,000 songs in a vault somewhere?
I don't know if anybody's counted them, but there are loads of riffs lying around waiting for that other bit.
When's it going to arrive? You know, will we ever
You
hear
never
it?
know. It doesn't, you know, because I mean, Start Me Up was the same. That was 5 years from when the riff came up to actually being able to make a record out of it. It's fine having a great riff, but if you're trying to make a great record, that's only one of the ingredients.
Yeah,
you know? So you have to listen always to, now and again, to things that you just sort of put in the can. You have to listen to the can sometimes. Sometimes you've got to go to the can.